Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a family waits for answers while they search for a missing 81-year-old, which is continuing in Pike County. And the lawsuit between the FTC and Meta begins as officials claim there are unfair practices in the world of social media.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and a happy Tuesday to you, Mount family. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on April 15th. It's now 6:28 and that means it's time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal. And Megan, I promise this is the last time I'll say it. It's tax day. We're checking in for our, we should call it like our tax break forecast.
Tax break forecast. Here's what you need to know. We're going to see a little bit of that rain chance this morning. We've seen it over the course of the nighttime, but it's starting to move out finally. Heaviest rain right now as you're heading into Letcher County, as well as portions of Wise, Virginia, and in between Dickinson and Buchanan County. Again, it'll taper off for the next couple of hours, and then we'll have drier conditions for the next 2 days. Current temperatures right now in the 50s, seeing upper 40s as you're traveling towards Williamsburg, 48 and 48 in Clintwood as well. High temperatures for the day will, for the most part, still be in the 50s, although a lot of cities do have that chance for that 60-degree mark to be hit and surpassed as you're traveling towards Middlesboro and Harlan. 62 is that forecast high temperature. Planning forecast for today, expect the warmest temperatures around that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock mark. And again, temperatures will be staying in the 50s for most of the day, getting to the low 40s as you travel overnight. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan. The Cordia school community is mourning the loss of Alice Whitaker. Whitaker led the school for decades and was involved in its operations until the end. She was a major advocate for the school when it faced the possibility of closing. She helped to pass legislation that would allow the school to remain open. Ned Fillersdorf is the attorney who worked with Whitaker in the battle to save the school. He attributes their success to her.
And but for her, Cordia would have been closed years ago. And those kids would have had to been bused, 45 minutes on mountain roads. And because of her, these thousands of students in a geographically isolated area got a great education, and she built this wonderful support system in the community.
Funeral arrangements are expected to be announced tomorrow. Alice Whitaker was 85. The search continues in Pike County for 81-year-old Philip Stiltner. Family members say Stiltner went missing on March 26th, and law enforcement issued a golden alert. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino talked with Stiltner's family about this ongoing search.
Nothing, just like he evaporated and you just don't disappear like that. Somebody's done something to my daddy.
It has been nearly 3 weeks since Philip Stiltner's disappearance. Worry has filled the minds of his family every ticking hour since March 26th, the day he was last seen.
He would mark his calendar off every day, and right there's the last mark on Wednesday. And he took a blood pressure on the 27th in the morning about 7-something, and that's the last we've heard of my daddy.
His family left searching for any information that could lead to their father and Pawpaw.
His hat he wears every day after he gets dressed if he's going to come down to my house. It's laying right here, and his tater was laying right here. I mean, everything was in place like Dad had it. Nothing disheveled, no signs of struggle.
His shoes, truck keys, and cane all where he left them last.
Daddy never went and left his bed unmade like that. Just everything was in its place where it's supposed to be, except for my dad.
Local police, fire crews, and the Forestry Division all making efforts to provide the family with any answers. Even community members dedicating their time using four-wheelers and their dogs to lead to any clues.
Multiple people has checked multiple places multiple times. We've thought of 1,000 different scenarios in our mind of what could have happened, and it seems it's driving us crazy. We can't eat. Hardly we can't sleep for thinking that Daddy's hungry and cold and he needs help.
Praying that he will walk in the door at any time.
And we have prayed for the Lord to give us or somebody else a vision or a dream of where my daddy's at so we can find him and bring him home. And I hope he's alive. At least if something's happened to him, but we can put him to rest out there beside of my mommy.
KSP asks if you have any information on Mr. Stiltner's whereabouts to contact them immediately. In Pike County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky State Police troopers remind folks that if you do see a missing person, never approach them. Instead, call local police immediately. Police in Claiborne County, Tennessee are searching for an escaped inmate. If you take a look at your screen, you can see a picture of Larry Keith Poore. Police say he escaped while on work detail in the Oak Village Circle area of Cumberland yesterday afternoon. Police say Poore was last seen wearing a navy blue shirt and pants. If you see Poore, don't approach him and instead call 911. In Pulaski County, construction begins this week on a new connector route along Kentucky 1247 to improve access to the new Burnside Elementary School. The new connector is located just north of US 27 in Burnside. It will include right in, right out intersections, new access roads at C. Van Hook Road and near Richardson Lane, as well as safer, more efficient travel to Burnside Elementary and surrounding areas. Protesters in support of public education access for children, regardless of immigration status, took to the streets in Nashville. The Education for All Tennessee campaign led a march to the state capitol. The rally was inspired by a bill that allows schools to deny enrollment to students who cannot prove they are in the U.S. legally. The legislation passed the state Senate last week. The House has not taken up the measure. Time is running out for Kentuckians to get their real IDs. The deadline is May 7th. Starting then, you'll need a real ID or a passport to board a commercial flight. If you don't get one in time, you'll still be able to fly, but there will be an extra verification process that will slow you down in the security line. In a social media post, Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey argued against the enforcement of the real ID requirement. He says in part, quote, real ID isn't needed and won't stop terrorists from hijacking planes. Trump shouldn't enforce it. The Kentucky Community and Technical College System is celebrating a major milestone during Dual Credit Week. More than 36,000 high school students enrolled in dual credit courses during the 2023-24 academic year. In the fall of 2024 alone, more than 29,000 students took advantage of the opportunity, saving nearly $15 million in tuition costs. Dual credit students now represent approximately 1/3 of the system's annual enrollment. As we mentioned yesterday, a mega antitrust trial kicked off that could decide the fate of the social media company Meta. The Federal Trade Commission is accusing billionaire Mark Zuckerberg's company of shutting out the competition and unfairly profiting from it. Meta bought Instagram and WhatsApp more than 1 decade ago when they were just startups. Now Instagram and WhatsApp are social media giants themselves, and the FTC says Meta has a monopoly and needs to spin them off.
In the eyes of the FTC, one company owns too much of the different social media products that so many people use. But in the eyes of Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, they say, no, it's still a really competitive landscape out there. And, we are one of many players, and there is still a lot of choice out there.
Zuckerberg took the stand yesterday afternoon with FTC lawyers questioning him about the origins of Facebook and the concept of friending on the Meta platforms. Many Americans are worried about the U.S. job market. According to a survey from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, 44% say they believe the national unemployment rate will increase next year. That's the highest response to that question since April 2020, which is shortly after the COVID-19 pandemic emerged. Nearly 16% of those polled also said they have concerns about their own jobs. Employees for the Internal Revenue Service could learn the fate of their employment right after tax day. According to sources, the IRS is expected to announce their individual decisions by the end of this week, the busiest of the year. The news comes ahead of Tuesday's tax filing deadline as the agency processes tens of millions of tax returns, payments, and refunds. NVIDIA is working to produce AI supercomputers entirely in the U.S. The company announced plans to build manufacturing space in Arizona and Texas. NVIDIA's Blackwell chips have started production at plants in Phoenix. Meanwhile, the company is building a supercomputer factory in Houston and Dallas. NVIDIA says it plans to produce up to $500 billion of AI infrastructure in the U.S. within the next 4 years. You might have heard that Canadian tourism to the U.S. has dropped. What's surprising is by how much. In March, the number of Canadians driving across the border into the States dropped a staggering 32%, as compared to the same time last year. Air traffic from visitors from the Great White North also plummeted 13.5%. The U.S. Travel Association warned in February just a 10% drop in Canadian tourism would cost the U.S. about $2 billion. The Trump administration says it's freezing $2.2 billion in funding for Harvard. This comes after the university refused to enact policy changes demanded by the administration. On Monday, university president Alan Garber released a statement saying the university will not surrender its independence or its constitutional rights. Harvard received a letter from last week stating federal aid is conditional on the university reducing the power students and faculty members have over the university's affairs.
Those temperatures this morning are sitting in the 50s, mainly the low to mid 50s. And as we head into the afternoon, we'll be looking at the the upper 50s, excuse me, and low 60s. So about the same temperatures as you're going through the next couple hours. Live pinpoint Doppler radar is showing that the heaviest of the rain is on its way out, mainly seeing some heavy rain towards Dickinson and Buchanan County, Virginia. Again, moving its way out over the next couple hours. And here's a look at that bus stop forecast. What you need to know as you're heading to school, most places will just be looking at those cloudy skies with temperatures in the mid 50s. By the time you're heading home, still looking at cloudy conditions with temperatures in the upper 50s. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for joining us at 6:39. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. As we cover this year's Eastern Kentucky Leadership Award winners, we'll begin with a familiar face right here at WYMT.